Are you tired of spending your time and money chasing strategy after strategy only to discover what worked 10, 5, or even 2 years ago is not working now? Things shift fast in the online space, and if you're not keeping up, you're getting left behind. It's time for something different. Welcome to the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast, where every single episode will be jam-packed with proven, profitable strategies, behind-the-scenes secrets, and what's working now resources from industry experts and global influencers to help you scale your business, shorten your learning curve, and stand out in a crowded, noisy marketplace. And now, your host, award-winning marketing and media strategist, and international speaker, Patty Farmer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Marketing, Media, and Money Podcast. I'm looking forward to sharing another amazing industry expert with you today. And today I get to share somebody with you I've known for, I want to say about 12 to 15 years, a long time. I've known her for a long time, and I've seen her grow in all this time too, from the person she was when I first met her to the person she is today and the success that she is having. And not only that, but the transformation that she is helping other people to achieve in their business is astronomical. So I really am excited. So let me tell you a little bit about her. So Michelle Barr is a business coach, intuitive strategist, mindset mentor, speaker, teacher, and author specializing in messaging, content, and strategy, and shows you how she doubled her income and impact in less than 12 months by building a personality brand. Michelle believes it takes both the marketing to make it work and the mindset to make it happen to create the sacred success you desire and deserve. She's the author of The Entrepreneur's Guide to Taking Action and From Calling to Cash, Turning Your Life's Calling into a Profitable Business You Love. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk with you and your community.
I am really, really excited. So let's kind of go back a little bit. It has been at least 12 or 13 years since we first met. And you were doing something so totally different then. So let's kind of talk about the journey. We all know that none of us wake up one day and say, oh, this is what I think I'm going to do. This is what I was meant to do. But sometimes what we do leads us to we're finally doing the things that we know we were meant to do. So kind of take us back and tell us the story from your little office and how you got to where you are now.
It has been 12 years. I can't even believe it. When we met, I had just really left. I was a therapist and I was in the process of giving up my license to move into what is coaching, but I didn't know to call it that yet. I just knew there was more I wanted to do than in a therapy framework. And I opened a little local healing center called Hope House. And I started doing meetups and teaching classes and using what I did as the therapist to help people. But I found that unlike therapy, I wanted to really help people take action and move forward, things that I was working on. And you're right, I had no idea how it would grow and evolve. And what it did was really grow and evolve me. And I learned a lot along the way. And if you would have told me back then I would end up talking about business and money, I would not have believed you.
I totally get that because I know that I've been in my marketing business for 20 plus years. And if 8 years ago, if somebody would have told me that not only would I be a speaker, but I'd be traveling all over the world speaking and putting on events, all these things, because I can still remember, and you will too, back in the day when I first started speaking and I was still running to the restroom to get sick every single time before I went on stage. So if somebody would have said 8 years from now, you're going to be helping other people get on stages, I would have never believed it. So you never know what's in store for you. You know, I think that that is really interesting. But here's the thing that I know to be true. Looking at my story and looking at your story, one of the things that I see that I think anyway, and I want to get your perspective, but one of the things that I think is a contributing factor is that I know that both of us invested in ourselves and in hiring coaches, and we had mentors. We didn't try to do it all by ourselves. We knew that in order to be able to get where we wanted to be, we had to invest in ourselves. And we've had many conversations over coffee talking about, stretching and stepping into it and investing in ourselves, which we all know is so very important.
It really is. I love thinking back when we were doing local networking and you and I were talking, and you said to me once, I can't imagine being a speaker when I get up and talk in these small groups. Then here you are, international speaker on all these big stages. And back then we were speaking locally most of the time in little groups. And definitely that was my turning point of investing in myself. And you and I have both done that, even when it's been uncomfortable and we've pushed ourselves to grow. I now talk about, I have not been without a coach since 2009. So 10 years. So you saw me through when I created a financial disaster in my business because I didn't make good business decisions and it became a very expensive hobby. And then when I hired my first business coach and continued, and then I also had to stretch and grow and evolve how I was investing and who I was investing in. And it made all the difference.
Absolutely. I think that coaches always have coaches. And I know for me, in the last 10 years, there's never been a time that I didn't have a coach. And usually at least one, sometimes two. And there have actually even been time that I've had 3 coaches if there was something specific that I was working on that was going to take me to like a pivot. I always call that a pivot when you say, oh, this is what I want to do. So the reality is there's times that you have the coach for many different reasons, right? And I think it's really important to understand that because I've never had a coach that didn't take me where I wanted to go, except for my first coach. My first coach was a real learning lesson, and it really taught me what to look for in a coach. Right? When I had to hire a second coach to walk me off the ledge because the first coach pushing you is one thing, but I was just like, this is not what I should be doing. So I learned what to ask for and how to be more selective. And not only that, but I think one of the things that I learned was it's a sweeping statement, and I'm not saying everybody should, but I will never hire somebody that isn't already where I want to be, right? They already have to be doing what it is. Like, I don't want theory. I want somebody to teach me or to be there and coach me who's already done it already. And hey, I think that's really important.
That is key. When people are always asking on Facebook, what do you do to determine hiring a coach? I always say I hire someone who's being who I want to be, doing what I want to do, and having what I want to have, because that's what I want help with. They've walked through the fires. They know how to get there. They can turn around and help me. And that's how I built my own business, to help the clients that I serve. And I learn lessons with every coach has given me something. And I've had multiple coaches too. There were times, especially when I had a solid mindset mentor coach, at the same time I had a business coach, because the business coach didn't really do that. And you've probably found too that there are plenty of proven strategies out there, and you can hire coaches and learn the ways they've done it. And the more you get along and the more money you make, the mindset is just a huge piece of it.
Absolutely. So if you could go back, what advice would you give to somebody right now? So like either to yourself, if you go back to when you were like 25, right? What would you tell yourself to do first? And then the second part of that question kind of might be a little bit of the same, but maybe not. What would your advice be to a brand new entrepreneur or business owner now? Because in the business environment we're in right now, we know that relationships are the currency. I built my business that way, so I was kind of a disruptor and a trendsetter in that sense. But the things that I think I would tell people to do first then and what I would tell people to do first now are not the same thing. So what would you do?
I like that. First, going way back to when I was 25, that's when I actually had a huge transformation in my life that led me on this whole journey. And at that time, I had entrepreneurial dreams, but I wasn't really doing it. I would have said, follow your dreams and desires, dare to dream big, and then really be who you are. Because I got caught up in a lot of things I can do. You and I are great at a lot of things. We learn fast. We're perpetual learners. I got caught up in a lot of things I could do, but not what I was made to do. So then that leads to, as an entrepreneur, I wish I would have understood even earlier how to build a personality brand, how to brand myself and come in the marketplace as who I am instead of other ways, and to really focus on my strengths and superpowers and lead with those and step out as who I am and let that grow and evolve.
I agree with you. I think that a lot of times people get confused. I like to teach my clients to say, there's brand identity, and then there's branding, and they are not the same thing. And people like to get caught up in the branding process, which of course seems like it's really fun, but it's really the brand, and you don't determine the brand. The brand is what your customers and clients say, speak, think, feel, and most importantly, share about you, right? And they decide that. You don't get to decide, right? So I think it's really important to be very, very clear on what you want your brand to be. And I know that that is something that you teach as well. So I think that is really important. So for somebody right now, do you think it's important that they have their brand right away, or do you think there's some, foundational pieces that they need to do first, and then they need to work on their brand? What would you say?
It's kind of both. Yes, as far as I like how you made that distinction, because branding, sometimes people want to go hire somebody to help them with branding, which we know is an expensive investment when they haven't served clients yet and they don't have the foundation and structure. The part about your brand is you're always out there being who you are and getting clearer and clearer on that. So that personal brand from the very beginning, and also making sure that you're stepping out with your name and branding your name, but certainly building the foundation. I even tell my clients, once you serve your first dozen clients, then you will know what you said just now. What are they paying you for? Why are they coming to you? What do they want? And why are they hiring you? And you've got to get clear on that. At the same time, I always tell my clients, do you own your name as a URL? And are you leading, getting your name out there and showing up as all of who you are? Because it is relationship based now, and I know hundreds of coaches. So why are there some coaches I never hire, even though they get great results, and other coaches, why do I hire the coaches I hire? Just like you, it's built on all that bigger piece.
And I think too, though, like when you do your brand and you're clear on what your brand is, everything else is easier. Your brand identity, that's your logo and colors. Everybody wants to jump into that because that's the fun part, right? Yeah. But then the branding part becomes so much easier if you're clear on the brand, because the branding is where you need to be sharing your story across all platforms so that it's congruent and consistent and relevant, and it all starts with the brand. So I really think that that is really important, and I really love that. So Michelle, what would you say when you were going through your journey from then to now, what would you say was the biggest obstacle, blind spot, or maybe, roadblock that you had to overcome?
For me and the people that I serve especially, it was really running in there with, I have these things, I want to help people, I know I can help them, and not from day one tracking my money, making good business decisions, having a coach to help me with that. And so all of a sudden I found myself where I had a lot of fans and followers, and I had a lot of people that loved what I did, especially even when in that local community, but I wasn't making good business decisions. And I kept thinking, oh, it'll all take care of itself. And then I got in a big money pit. And even things like I used to not want to think about money. I would think I wasn't good with money, and I had to change that mindset and actually track my money. So I had to take it to the other extreme where I started tracking my money every single day and watching my money.
And I think a lot of that too is knowing where to put, time is money, right? And so one of the practices that I have put into place about 10 years ago which is that, everybody knows I get up early, right? It's pretty much well known that I'm an early riser. But part of that is because I know that's when, for me, I am the most creative. Now, I know some people, they're night owls, or maybe that's the middle of the day for them. For me, it's when I wake up in the morning after I've had that first cup of coffee. Now I'm on fire. And so for me, I just really realized that was when I was the most creative. So for me, the first 3 hours I wake up in the morning, I work for my number one client, and that is me. Then I work for 2 more hours and I do all my client work that I need to do, but all my relationship stuff, like, all those calls you do that we're building relationships and all that kind of stuff. I can do that in the afternoon with my puppy sitting in my lap, right? I don't have to be, that's not the first thing I need to be doing in the morning. And I also, that combined with, I tell myself every day I have to do 5 revenue producing activities a day. Now, we all know that there's now money now and there's more money later. We know that, right? That happens. But every day, 5 revenue generating activities. And I don't get to stop working until I've done those 5. I usually have them all done by 10 o'clock though. And stuff, I like to say I get more work done by 10 than most people get done in a whole day. But I think that mindset for me was really just what I needed to focus on, to know that, because it doesn't matter. I love helping people. It's really, really important to me. But if I'm going to be away from my family, like, there has to be a reason I'm doing it. I love to help others. I totally have a serve, mentality, right? Lead with contribution, compensation will follow. But at the end of the day, we do still have to make money, right? We have a business and we have a family and we have to make money.
I love what you said about the 5 income producing activities, the revenue generating. That was a big shift for me, because I thought, oh, I'm so busy. And I see this a lot. Either people are spending too much time, especially my clients. Oh, I'm creating, and then I'll sell it someday. So it was that you're selling every day, and that I had to do 5 income producing activities and actually understand what was income producing versus busy work.
Activity versus productivity, right? I mean, you could be busy. I used to think that too. And I used to think, man, my husband would come, I worked so hard today. Oh, I'm so tired. And at the end of the week, I'd be like, man, this was a busy week. I can't wait for Friday, right? And then I would think about how much money I made. And I'd be like, how come I didn't really make any money? Like, I made like $200 or something. And I was like, how did that happen? That was years ago, right? And now it's like, you know what? I think the biggest shift for me, I don't know, I really would love to get your perspective on this. One thing made a huge aha shift for me, and that was the day I decided that I was the CEO of my company. When you're the CEO of your company, I own my calendar, right? My time, I get to decide. And so now when I see people make appointments and they're like, oh, somebody walked in my office, and I'm thinking, are you the CEO of your company? So from our networking days, when people say, oh, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a coach, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, you're not. You're the CEO of a blah, 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 right? And that mental shift was huge for me.
That is a big shift, because I've heard it and I've seen it, and it's really stayed with me. We become entrepreneurs for freedom and the lifestyle and the creative ability and all those things. And then we end up creating jobs for ourselves, and we become an employee in our own company. And then we have to shift that wait, first of all, this is a lifestyle business. And I love what you said too, because I travel about 1/3 of the year. And if I'm going to be gone from my husband, in the early days, I would go travel and speak. And it was like, great, I'm getting out there. But then I had to come home and say, what did I invest and what did I make? I can't be away from home this much. And I had to really start getting clear on, I've got to make money if I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah, that all comes down to strategy, right? We all have to be strategic about what we do, making sure we're in front of the right fit, clients. You know what I like to say? I always like to say, really getting clear on where you should be, right? I think in the beginning, when I first became a speaker, I think you did this too. It's like we just leaned in and said yes, right? And so that's what you do. But I think that after a while, you have to really have a strategy and be like, is this the right place for me to be speaking? Right? So I think that You know, you have to be able to leverage, you need to have strategy, you need to monetize. Those are like, in business, those are my three favorite words: strategy, leverage, and monetize. That's it for me. You have to be able to do those three things, and you have to be able to do them well.
Those are big ones, and those are things you run into once you actually start making money and your business is doing well. So I've been looking at that too. Monetize, I had to learn early. That's why my business almost closed the doors and failed at first, because I didn't understand about everything had to be monetized. Oh, people are loving it and people are showing up. And then the strategies, there are plenty of proven strategies, which is why I hire coaches, because they can teach me a lot faster and I can follow. I'm very coachable and I take action. And so you learn the strategies, and then that leverage, really, because our time and our energy, our live time is finite. And so I had to learn that too. When you're getting paid for your live time, that's your highest premium, and other things can be leveraged.
Absolutely. So I have a question. So you've heard the question before, but I'm going to put my little tweak on how I want to ask it. So if you could have lunch with any CEO, so there it is. If you could have lunch with any CEO, who would it be? But here's the tweak. What's the number one question you'd want to ask them?
That is a great one, because if Louise Hay were still alive, I would love to have a meal with her, because I love her model with Hay House. She really serves those people who are the spiritual teachers and the messengers getting out there. And at the same time, they're a marketing machine. So I would love to know how she built that and how she grew that from nothing. And I love, she didn't even start that company till she was 56. And
Really?
yes. And so that you can make your dream at any time. So her not starting till 56, what did she do to amplify that dream, bring in all those people? And then she really understood you need a book, because with my clients, I'm always talking about you need a book, you need a signature talk, and then they have products. So I would love to be able to pick her brain. So maybe whoever's the CEO now, but she would hold the gold.
Oh, I really like that, because I always like to tell my clients too, if you're a speaker, you should have a book. If you have a book, you should be speaking, right? You know,
Yes.
And then everything that comes after that. So Michelle, what do you love most about your business today?
I love the life that I have created, and that I get to do my work in the world all the time. And I've been working toward, we've heard it for 10 years in our industry, all the way back of free the wizard. Once you can work in your brilliance or your genius and you don't have to do everything else. And I'm still working toward that. And now I really get to show up and do more and more of what I love. I've written a couple of books now. I love writing my books and then speaking out there with my books. And so now my business is comprised much more of what I love doing every day. And then also I love the life I've created. And I wanted travel a big part of it. So I've created a lot of travel in my life. I also love the growth and evolution of me, because then I get to turn around and serve clients at different levels. So my clients have grown.
I love that. You know, both you and I are in the transformation business, and people say, well, you know, when you're a speaker or you're an author and you sell products and services, aren't you really in the information business? And my answer to that is Google's in the information business, Facebook, YouTube, they're in the information business. I'm in the transformation business, right? Not just for my clients, but in how they serve their clients as well. So that's something that we have always shared, and I really love that, right? So what's next for you? What project are you working on? What's next? Is it a secret, or can you share?
No, I love that. I'm really been primed the past few years for 2020 and really building and leveraging and scaling my business and all of that coming together. And I agree, when you write that book, when you give that signature talk, we're transforming people. We're inspiring and motivating. As I move into this new year, partly because of the leverage piece you talk about, it's always been my dream to have a high level mastermind. So I've done groups in the past, group programs, programs and group level service, but now really some high level masterminds like some of the ones you and I have been in. And that's my big focus, because I'm really heavy in one-to-one and I love doing it, but I also love the mastermind aspect. So I'm working on what will be my next book. This book just came out, and so next year I'm going to really get out there and speak with this book and really work with this book. And that's my focus, is the leverage and scale, and bringing now high achievers together in a mastermind and teaching them what I've learned at this point.
I love that. You know, I think one of the things for me that really I got clear on, it was probably the thing that took me the longest to learn. And I'm going to ask you in a second what took you the longest to learn. But one of the things for me was that I also could give myself permission to stop doing things I didn't want to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we feel like in business, this is what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to do this. We're supposed to do this. We're supposed to do this. And I realized, like you, that I love to travel. And that's why I speak 13 to 15 times internationally, because I love to travel. So I just incorporated that into my business. But what I recently, and it was hard, even so, even after all this time, it was like, you know, people were like, what? You're not going to do what? And I just really decided that I don't like blogging anymore. And so I made the decision on my new website that I wasn't going to put a blog on it. You know, there are many ways to get SEO. I know it's not the only way, right? And I just really decided that it was something that I used to cause me a lot of anxiety, because I just didn't really enjoy doing it. And I just took a bold statement and said, you know what? I am only going to do things in my business that bring me joy, and blogging doesn't. And if it does for other people, great, do it. But if there's something in your business that, you know, you really don't want to do, it doesn't bring you joy, then don't do it. There are many ways to build a business. You don't have to do every single thing because other people tell you to. So what is that for you? What is it that you're doing right now, or not doing, because you just decided that you just didn't need to in your business?
You just hit on something big, and I love that, because I always tell people that it's not about what my clients can and can't do. It's about what they're willing to do. And so you have to find, when you're teaching your clients how to build their business, what are they willing to do? And you're right, it's about doing what you love most, and maybe not doing some of the things you don't like, because every coach has different strategies. For me, mine is going to be what you're actually a master at, and that is selling myself and promoting myself. I came from a world where we weren't even paid by the people that we helped. I was a therapist. I ran crisis centers and shelters. I worked in hospitals. And so me promoting myself, and the funny part was, I'm a really good salesperson, because I was selling for everybody else. I would say, oh, you've got to go get something from her. And then 12 people would run over, and I would sell her to the moon, and then not wanting to sell myself. And it's been something I've really had to work on, is that concept of selling myself, because I'm naturally an influence and a community builder and a sharer like you. And you and I will tell people, go eat at that restaurant, go get your hair done here, all those things. But for myself, I wasn't doing it. And I've had to really grow into sales. And it was all mindset stuff about service and money and helping people and charging what I'm worth and getting out of that dollars for time model.
Yeah, pricing strategy is really, really important, but I totally agree with you. I think there was a time that you just have to recognize that people telling you that you're brilliant and all these likes, I can't pay my mortgage payment with likes. You know, they want money, unfortunately, right? And stuff. And so you have to realize that you do have to be able to sell yourself. But I totally get it, Michelle, because I remember that one of the big ahas I had too is that when we start measuring stuff, right? And I started looking, I thought, wow, why is it that I can do this when I speak and I can do this when I do here? But when I was doing quote unquote strategy sessions, right? My conversion rate was awful. And I couldn't figure out why. And so I hired a coach and I said, okay, walk me through this. Why is it so bad? It was like 17%, really awful comparatively. And what she helped me to realize was that because I am an educator, right? That I was giving them so much stuff on that strategy session. They didn't need to hire me because I was already overwhelming them, which literally happened when I first became a speaker too. Because I used to think to myself, when I do Q&A, I'm like, why does nobody ever ask me any questions? Like literally nobody would ever ask me any questions. And I'm like, why? And I realized, again, I was an educator and I would give them so much stuff. They'd be like, are you kidding, Patty? We got like months worth of stuff that you already gave us. Like there was nothing to ask. And I really had to realize that sometimes you can overshare, right? Sometimes you give them so much that literally you put them into overwhelm instead. And that was just something you had to learn, right? When you first become a speaker and when you first do sales, you just really had to learn that. And now I realize that there's a time to do VIP days, there's a time to do discovery sessions, there's a time to do breakthrough sessions. All of them are different, but they all have a purpose, and to be really, really clear what your goal is on every one. So that was a really big lesson, and it was a money lesson for me as well. So I totally get that. But speaking about that, I love that you actually have an amazing gift for my audience. You're like a great dinner guest, right? Like you brought a bottle of wine, so you brought this great gift for the audience. So tell us a little bit about it.
I have a gift that I've created. It's something I speak about from stage often, and you can find it at personalitybrandkit.com. And it is actually a video training of one of my live sessions that I did, all about this. What is a personality brand? How do you build a personality brand? I always get asked to speak on a section of Facebook is your power tool as a marketing tool. So I cover that. And then I really go into some of my journey. And then it also has a report that really shows you the shift I made and the shift I help people make moving into building a personality brand.
I love that. And I love the part that when you're talking about it, you've actually done it and, you know, doubled your income in 12 months or less. How many people out there in the audience would love to do that? Yeah. So that's really great. So how would they connect with you?
They can go to personalitybrandkit.com and get the free gift. And then they can find me at my website at michellebarr.com, or you can also find it at fromcallingtocash.com. And I'm on Facebook. That's a main platform for me every day, educating, inspiring, and motivating.
I love that. So before we let you go, I have this portion of the show that I really want to make sure that we serve and support our audience, right? That's really important to me. But I want to make sure that I always serve and support my guests as well. So what we're going to do is my version of social karaoke. And so we're going to do open mic. And basically what this means is I just want to make sure that I turn the mic over to you and give you the opportunity to share, you know, anything of value that maybe we haven't already talked about before we get off the show, and just let you have a few words for the audience from you. So Michelle, here's the mic.
Great. You and I have kind of hit on it, and we've gotten to watch each other's journey for a decade, and it's been really fun. And something you and I both do when people say, where do I start? Well, we've said hire a coach, get help. There are plenty of proven strategies out there. Work on your mindset. But the very first place I had to start was I had to show up. I had to show up for myself, and I had to show up in the marketplace before I felt ready. And some days I still do. So I had to show up. I had to make a decision. And we know that a decision has not been made until an action is taken. And then I had to take aligned action. So show up, make a decision, and take aligned action. So many people are not taking any action toward what they say they want most. And then they wonder why they don't have it. So yes, there's plenty out there that you can go and find out how to do what we've done and get on this journey or grow and evolve from where you are. But you've got to be showing up, making solid decisions, and taking aligned action, because action is how we create and receive what we want.
I love that. That's some great value there. So thank you so much for being here with me today, Michelle. It has been fabulous having you. You're generous as usual with your knowledge and your expertise. For everybody here, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and review the podcast on your favorite listening platform. And remember, sharing is caring. And to the next episode of the Marketing, Media, and Money podcast, have a phenomenal day.
Thank you for joining us today on the Marketing, Media, and Money podcast. To shorten your learning curve even more, make sure to grab your free copy of the Marketing, Media, and Money magazine at www.marketingmediamoney.com. I promise your business will thank you.